Breaking XRP news. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, money makers. The SEC has decided to delay it. I'll explain what did they decide to delay. What does this mean for XRP? Plus, China decided to remove one of the tariffs that they had on US exports. What does this mean? Does this mean that we're getting closer to a deal? Will times be better? We're going to talk about all that. All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out those good vibes. Smishity smash that like button and let's get straight into it. So currently XRP is sitting at $2.29, basically flat on the day. Not here nor there, right? But XRP is over the resistance level that has now become a support level at 226. You can see the red line here. I know some of you watching on your phone, so it's kind of hard to see, but there is a red-ish line, right? We can maybe change the color, but that the color is not critical. What is interesting and critical is the fact that we are very close to a crossover on the 1348 EMA, and we'll probably get the answer to this in the next day or two. Are we going to see a crossover here on the 1348, or is it going to get rejected? Again, same thing with the downward trend. Some people might say there's a descending wedge if you go from here, but I'm looking at the trends, okay? And so it will be very interesting to see if XRP is able to break out. Bitcoin also sitting nicely under 95,000, but hasn't been able to get past the resistance level at 95,700, sorry, 800. So that's where I'm going to be watching in the next coming hours to see if it is able to do so. The S&P 500 is doing okay today, up 0.9%, with the NASDAQ at 0.6%. So nothing too crazy is going on here. And it will be interesting to see what happens with the markets, going into this weekend here. China removes 125% tariff on U.S. ethane imports. So this is interesting. I asked Rock, what is this? What's ethane? So it says here, China's removal of 125 tariff on U.S. ethane imports announced on April 29th reverses a trade barrier set earlier that month, easing costs for Chinese petrochemical firms like Satellite Chemical and benefiting U.S. exporters such as Enterprise Products Partners, amid a broader U.S.-China trade war escalation. This policy shift aligns with the recent U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent comments on April 23rd about potential big deal to rebalance trade, though China's Ministry of Commerce denied active negotiations, highlighting ongoing tensions and mixed signals in tariff discussions. Ethane is a key natural gas liquid from U.S. shale production. It's critical for petrochemicals. This waiver could boost U.S. exports, which hit 1.2 million barrels per day to China in 2024, according to Reuters, while signaling a tactical de-escalation despite Trump's broader 145% tariffs on Chinese goods. Listen, the situation between the U.S. and China is continuing to roll on. There's already stories about containers that are getting sent to the U.S. basically empty. Nothing's being sent. It will be interesting to see if this de-escalates in the next coming weeks. Of course, everybody wants a de-escalation, but people don't want a bad deal to be signed. U.S. people, right? Other people around the world, I don't think they really care. I don't think someone in Belgium cares if the U.S. gets a good trade deal with China, right? But of course, someone in the U.S., they care, right? And someone in China, they care. And the rest of the world cares because of the geopolitical geotension on the markets. Most of the people that are investing in the U.S. stock market, so and crypto, and it's affecting everything. So it will be interesting to see if we can finally experience this trade war fizzle out, and they sign a nice juicy agreement, and we can potentially see the markets go on their merry way, right? Give us the parabolic movement that was promised to us by the 4-year cycle gods, right? That's what we want. Now, before we continue, I just want to remind you that this video is for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice, and you should always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. I'll never tell you to buy, to sell, or to hold. That is up to you, what you decide to do. Also, remember that I'll never contact you on social media asking you to sign up to anything or to send me any money. Those are scammers. Please be very careful out there. So we have been waiting and anticipating for the potential of the XRP ETFs. We were hoping that once we have a new SEC chairman in the office with Paul Atkins, that we would see this situation expedited. Now, we did get the ProShares ETF that was approved, but that is a futures ETF, which usually gets approved pretty fast. We've already had them, and there, for example, for Bitcoin, there was future ETFs 4 or 5 years before there was ever the spot Bitcoin ETF, which took a long time until it was approved. Well, now, breaking news, the SEC has delayed making a decision on Franklin Templeton's XRP spot ETF until June 7th. So if they're delaying one, it probably means that they're all going to get delayed, right? And so, you know, this is not the worst thing in the world. Delay doesn't mean rejected, and June 7th is only 2 months away, so it's not, you know, the end of the world. And Eleanor here talked to James from Bloomberg. He's the ETF guy at Bloomberg. He says some more details after speaking with the ETF guru James just now. These dates are all intermediate and will likely see final decisions on a lot of crypto ETPs in Q4. For the XRP spot ETF, James is eyeing mid-October around the 18th as a final decision deadline. It's possible the SEC won't take all that time to make the decision, but a lot will hinge on how actively they engage on the applications. Think about this. They have to go over every single application, and they have to make sure that everything is okay, that the companies have everything that is needed. And, you know, you can't just do it willy-nilly with the spot, right? Because when it's a spot, it's tracking one-to-one, and they have to, you know, have custody somewhere for the crypto, and it's a lot more regulation than a future XRP ETF. So we've seen in the past that this takes a little bit of time, and it seems like they're looking towards mid-October, according to James, as the final decision deadline. And so that would be the last possible timeline. We saw in the previous administration that they waited for the end of the deadline to approve. Maybe they would do that again, but I think that this SEC is a lot better than the previous SEC. You know, there's a lot of the same people, but the head is different, and you know the boss is usually changes a lot of things, right? Even if it's the same people, a different boss can be very, very different, and so it will be very interesting to see when we get the approval. Now, listen, the price of XRP didn't take a hit from this because I think that people understand that the spot XRP ETF, it's not the end of the world, meaning that, you know, XRP will be okay with or without the XRP ETF, even though when the headlines started coming out about the XRP ETF, the ProShares one, the price of XRP did pop. But you're seeing that I think now people are, because of what happened there and people with their misunderstanding, and I think the headlines aren't creating the same hoopla, right? So we're not seeing a sell-off because of this delay, right? A delay is not a rejection, right? Here we had an approval. So, right, approval when we popped up here. So a delay is not the same as a rejection. So the market is not really reacting to this in a negative way. So this is very, very interesting. And I'll continue to give you updates about what's happening with the XRP ETFs, you know, until they maybe someday come. When they come, they be coming round the mountain when you come. And we'll see how these next few days play out. Of course, we've talked about this multiple times, how tomorrow is very, very important. I don't know how many of you watch every single video, so I might be repeating myself a little bit, but tomorrow we have GDP and I forgot right now. We have GDP and PCE coming out tomorrow. And so those can be very, very important to see what the Fed is going to do. Right now, it seems like it's a 92% chance that the Fed is going to keep interest rates where they are and not reduce. And then the June, it's already seeming like about almost 60% that he's going to reduce interest rates by 25 basis points, so 0.25%. And that will be very interesting to see. So tomorrow can give us a little bit more clarity on what is potentially going to happen with the Fed. And we've seen that the Fed has had positive or negative effects on the crypto market and the stock market. So it's going to be very interesting to see how eventually that plays out as well. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.